This is the fourth tutorial for 4D part 3. We've created our reservation form and we've got it to append data to the reservation table using this make reservation button. The only thing left to do now is to make sure that instead of showing a list of all the rooms that are available, all the rooms, it only shows rooms that are available. Now what we're going to do now is probably the hardest thing you will do at A-level, almost definitely. It's really second year university stuff, because finding available rooms, looking at dates and comparing ranges of dates is an extremely complex topic. In fact, if you were to search the net for it, most of the things that you'll find on there will refer to a structured query language, SQL, which is a programming language used for searching for a database, and you're not expected to do programming languages in ICT, and it would take you several weeks of learning SQL to be able to get up to the standard to understand what we're going to be doing now. But we're going to do it using queries. This is a different way of doing it, but again it's still very complex. So what we need to do first of all is, instead of having a table where we look at the room, and if we just go to our design view for that, you'll see that it's getting its data, not the checkout date but the room, from query room with type. So instead of that, we want it to get its data from the available rooms. So what we need to do is we need to create a separate query. We're going to start by creating a query that will show all the rooms that are currently reserved during the time period that we want to reserve a room. And then what we're going to do is we're going to find all the rooms that aren't in that list, and that will tell us the rooms that are available. Now the logic that we're going to use for this is based on this diagram here. This green line represents what we want to book. So for example, in this case here, if we're booking on the 21st of the 1st 16 through to the 27th of the 1st 16, then this line here, vertical line here, represents that check-in date of the 25th of the 1st 16, and this line here represents a checkout date of the 27th of the 1st 16. Now all of these blue lines represent current reservations in the database that would clash, in other words, where the rooms would be unavailable if it's reserved at that time. So if we have a look here, we've got a reservation where the check-in date looks okay, but the checkout date is a problem, and here the check-in date is a problem. Here the checkout date is a problem because it's on the same date as the check-in date, and remember, in this particular hotel they don't allow check-ins and checkouts of the same room on the same day. And here we've got a problem because the check-in date is the same time as the checkout date. And then this is another type of booking where the whole of the check-in and checkout is within our requested period. So the green bit, remember, is the requested period. These are our existing reservations. And if we have a look here, we've got a check-in date that's within the period, checkout date that is also on the line, so it's within that period, and similarly here. So we're going to use a query to find all of these blue reservations that are a problem, and then we'll find the rooms that don't exist in that list, in other words the ones that are available, using what's called an unmatched query. So we're going to start by creating a query, and we'll go for a query in design view, and we're obviously going to need the reservation data, but because we also get this data is also going to be used on the drop down box, we need something about the room as well. So we're going to add on the room, and I think we'll probably include the room type because we could do with the description, because we're thinking about what's going to go in the drop down box. So our check-in date and our checkout date are what's going to tell us whether these rooms are available or not. We need the room ID as a foreign key to link into the table, and we'll need the room number and a description of the type of room so we can see which types of room are available. Now, we've now got to look at what the criteria are going to be. So if you have a look, we are comparing this green line with these blue lines. And if you notice how all the check-in dates for existing bookings are before or at the same time as the checkout date for our requested booking. So all the ins here and here are before this checkout date. So we're going to put that as our first criteria. So we'll just extend this a little bit. So we're going to say that that needs to be before or the same as, because remember we have the same as here, the check-in date needs to be before or the same as the checkout date from the forms. So because we need to make reference to forms, and then we need to choose our new reservation form, and then we need to choose the field that represents the checkout date, because that's what we're comparing it to. So we find the field called form checkout. It's not showing in that list, so what we'll do is we'll put the check-in one in and we'll just replace that with checkout. Okay, so now let's have a look at the checkout date. If we look at all of our checkouts, you can see that they are after or at the same time as the check-in date from the form. So we'll put that criteria in as well. It's greater than or equal to, and we'll go to our forms and our new reservation form, and of course we then want our form check-in date. So that is showing that our checkout on here must be after or at the same time as the checkout date on the form that we've just filled in. Let's have a look at what that's looking like, and it's not showing anything at all at the moment. So let's have a look at why that might be failing. So we're referring here to checkout date, and we did notice we were typing it in, there was a bit of a problem. So if we go back to our reservation form and look at that in design view, and now look at our checkout date, we can see that it's named text 2, and of course it should be named form checkout date. So we'll put that back into sheet view. So we've got that. Go back to sheet view for the query, and now we can see a list of all the reservations that are a problem. In other words, room 15, 2, 9 and 9 cannot be booked. And if you look at the dates, it's because those dates clash with what has been reserved on the reservation form from the 25th of January to the 27th of January. You see this one has got the 25th and 27th within it. This one, the 25th, comes before there. This one, the 25th, comes before here. The 27th is within that one. And this one we can see the 27th is a problem. So we'll just save that query now as query unavailable rooms. And then what the next tutorial is going to do is show you how you can use what's called an unmatched query to find the list of all the rooms that aren't in this list.